My name is Ferguson. I went to Berry College for my undergraduate. Then I went to the University of Georgia and initially practiced in Nashville. I came up here in 1995. And I love this area. I'm a person that if I'm outside, I'm happy, and if I'm inside, I'm not. I don't have any children except for the four-legged version, and I have quite a few of those. And I totally understand that pet-human bond because I feel it every day of my life, so. Okay, I want to talk about leptospirosis. It is a vaccine that is given to dogs. It is a disease that is very dangerous in dogs. And the reason I want to discuss it is there's this false information being put out quite frequently that some dogs should not get leptospirosis. It is a disease like rabies that if a dog gets it can be given to a human. And it also causes liver and kidney failure. And so in order to protect your family, you also want to make sure that your dogs are vaccinated. We're seeing a lot of breeders tell owners, and they're not veterinarians, that dogs don't need Lepto, that Lepto is a very dangerous vaccine to give, and that's false. They can react to the vaccine, but it's never life-threatening, and it's such an important vaccine. Leptospirosis is one of those viruses that, like rabies, is so dangerous, and it's preventable. It's very, very preventable. More importantly, I'm starting to see it in this area. We've had at least 4 confirmed positive Lepto dogs in the last couple of months. 3 of them went on to survive the disease. 1 of them did not, because the kidney damage that can be done by the time you diagnose it can be astronomical, and they just can't come back from that. So it's also a very deadly disease. I also know of the 3 dogs that did survive it, 2 of them were in the hospital for weeks before they got over it, and thousands of dollars down the road to try to save their dogs' lives. So my advice is always trust your veterinarian, what they tell you. We're always going to do what's best in the pet's interest and also your family's interest. And if we tell you that this animal needs Lepto, don't listen to the breeders, don't listen to the public, don't look at the websites and everything online. Trust us that we're doing it for a reason, that it's a very dangerous disease and that it can also be prevented, not 100%, but it can be prevented. So that's one of those things that I get tired of having to convince owners to let me do the right thing for their dog, because they've been given misinformation from the public, and that's not who they should be listening to. They should listen to their veterinarian and trust their veterinarian's advice. So with these vaccines that we think are important, and especially the Lepto, it's always frustrating when I have to convince someone to do these things because they've been told incorrectly. One of the things I always compare it to is nobody ever questions a rabies vaccine. Rabies is a disease that you can get, and so to protect your family and to protect your dog, I've never once had somebody tell me I can't give a rabies shot. And to me, Lepto is just as important. I also see Lepto a lot more, so it's so important that these things that are also contagious to humans are controlled because your family's at risk. The other thing about that would be parasites. I've never had someone say, don't deworm my dog if we find parasites, because you always worry about the potential risk of your family becoming involved with parasites. So anytime that we can prevent a disease, we need to do it, and you need to trust your veterinarian on what's in your pet's best interest. We're always going to have their health in mind. Some of the signs, if your dog actually were to contract Lepto, it is more, and rabies, of course, everybody knows about rabies, but Lepto is a disease that can cause liver or kidney failure, the top 2 ways it presents. And usually it's an unvaccinated dog. Very commonly it's a dog that spends a lot of time outside because it's spread in kind of water that's been lying, dirt, water. So a lot of these hunting dogs would be at risk. If it causes kidney failure, the very first signs you'll see are going to be a very lethargic dog, doesn't want to move around. A lot of vomiting can be associated with that. We would see dogs not wanting to eat or drink, and they just basically are really, really sick and lifeless. If it attacks the liver, signs can be very similar: lethargy, depression, not eating, not drinking. I do see vomiting with liver failure also. And also with liver failure, sometimes your dog can become jaundiced and turn yellow. Now, usually that's days in, so at any point in time, even if it's not Lepto, if your dog exhibits any of those signs, always have your veterinarian check your patient. You don't want them to be sick for too long before they're seen. And then if your dog's unvaccinated for this, it might be one of our rule outs for what could be going on if we diagnose kidney or liver involvement, especially in a younger dog.